gross. We're live. Don't do that when we go live. Do that before the show.
You're not going to get me to cough this time, man. I get COVID, and I'm not coughing.
It's not COVID if you're not coughing. Then it's just a cold. I think we're live.
I'm not sure if that's how that works.
Trust me.
I refuse to
That's the
cough.
thing. I stopped trusting you a long time ago.
When it comes to health data,
Paging
just
Dr.
trust me.
Elijah.
Boom. And we're live. Oh, whoops. That was the wrong boom. Let's go straight to Lewis. Let's give him a treat.
Jeez. The
Zoom in
wrong
on that
boom.
COVID face. It's tinted green. Don't adjust the color of your monitor. That's just the color of Lewis today. How you doing, Lewis?
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
I'm on
you
the
sound all right.
upswing.
You don't sound too bad. You sound a little stuffy.
I feel much, much better than I did 4 days ago.
Oh, you did it. You got COVID X. The new one.
It's pronounced COVID-10.
The one with 100% kill rate of mice. You're not part mouse, are you, Lewis? Have you had your 23andMe done? You are rather squeaky.
If there's any mouse in there, wow. I'd be speechless.
The first mouse-human hybrid. All right, we got Red Zuon here. We got Mooperson. We got Level Remix. Brian Mulcahy coming in with a 2013 MacBook Pro. Wow, that might have been one of my first. We got Nathan Therian. We got Captain Future, the future captain. Gurn's here. Mark T's here. We got a crowd. We have quorum. I think we're ready to get this thing rolling. We have a lot of stories to talk about, actually, and we've already done about 30 minutes of show already. So we're all tired. Let's see if we can muster up some energy for the rest of the show. We got some people in here. Oh, Mark T's ordering the Vision Pro tomorrow. Oh, man. I'm curious if I'll be able to resist. Hope you're ready to be up at 5 a.m. for that face scan. 5 a.m. face scan sounds nice, doesn't it? All right, should we go ahead and get this thing rolling, chaps? Don't all chime in at once. You realize this is an audio podcast, right?
I can't take my eyes off of Twitter. I'm waiting for the tweet.
Oh man, sorry. I'm glad
as
that
I'm
you
doing
reminded
that,
me.
I keep seeing pictures of people sitting with a Vision Pro strapped to their face, and oh boy, that's a good look. Sitting there with a thing going like this.
You're gonna love it,
Fingers
Lewis.
desperately clutching the air. Oh my God!
Just wait till you try to type something. That's where the real experience comes in.
Close up of a furrowed brow, skin pinched by a skin-tight visor.
It's like one of those face huggers in Alien. Just grab it onto your face. You can't get the dang thing off. Once it goes on, you can't get it off. That's what they don't tell you. The straps tighten, and you got to pay Apple a fee to get the thing off your face.
The Titan dial goes only one way. Ah!
You can't. It's like Alien. Like if you try to get it off with surgery, it just kills you on the way. You're going down with it. All right, you want the tweet?
Yes, please.
That's double boom for you. Double boom action.
Boom.
All right, chat. Let us know who's ordering the Vision Pro tomorrow. I'm curious. Who's plurking down the money? All right. Let's cue up Mrs. D. I'm sure she'll have a lot to say on the Vision Pro. Oh, Mrs. D. Where is she? Mrs. D. Are you going to be ordering the Vision Pro tomorrow? Oh, you know, my dear, maybe not, but I always like to have a pro vision of Leander Caney's body. Gross. I don't even know what that means, Lewis. I don't think I want to know what it means. All right,
Sounds
Mrs. D.
disgusting. That's all I know.
If you don't mind, all of us are grossed out. We don't want to hear these things that you have to say about LK, but I'm happy to hear that he's still alive because I did know that. I wasn't aware of that. If you don't mind, Mrs. D, we're going to go ahead and get this thing queued up. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. And I have my finger hovering over the button. We'll get this thing rolling in 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to the CultCast, the best 30+ minute conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Air Elijah. Join me today. He enjoys darts, proper grammar, and plunging the heads of Cult of Mac writers into the toilet when they've used the wrong spelling of their. and their Cultimac pieces. That one really gets him going.
Oh, man. So angry.
That makes the veins bulge. The managing editor of Cultimac, Lewis Wallace, is here.
Woohoo!
Also with us, he's building a high-powered wind tunnel in his backyard, so he can add a few more inches of volume to his signature hairstyle. Some people call him Hair Force Jr. He's a writer for Cultimac. Griffin Jones is here.
Good
oh
evening.
Man, hold on.
You getting a good night of sleep tonight, Irfan, or are you going to be waking up bright and early?
Oh man, I really don't know. I had told myself certainly I was not going to buy the Vision Pro. Absolutely, positively not. And to be honest, that's probably where I will remain. But it is tempting, isn't it? It is tempting to get one. Of course, what you should just do is just wait 3 weeks or 4 weeks for all the returns that Apple's going to get at the Vision Pro. All the people that tried to buy it so they could scalp it. All the people that buy it so they could test it out. All the YouTubers who have absolutely no plans of keeping it. I predict a return rate of like 40% for the Vision Pro, just because of all the people who are going to be buying the dang thing and have absolutely no plans to keep it and use it. They're going to just try and profit off it in some way. And then you just buy one of the refurbished ones, in 4 or 5 weeks. Griffin, you said you're buying one. I couldn't tell if you were being serious or not. And you put an asterisk on it, so I have a feeling you're one of the YouTube purchasers.
No, I am buying it for a friend who lives in the United Kingdom who can't order one.
Oh, wow. So you're going to ship that thing overseas?
A slight handling fee.
Yeah, the taxes on that are going to be absolutely insane. Anytime you ship anything to the UK, is he prepared for that?
I hope so.
Because it's going to be like 1,500 pounds sterling just to get that thing across the border.
Slightly less than it weighs on your head.
Yeah, well, right. Lewis, what about you? Any plans to buy the Vision Pro? I mean, Cultimac is going to have to get one, right? Is El Caney going to plunk down the cash?
We're going to have a discussion about that after this podcast. I think from the beginning I've said I'm going to do it because why not? I mean, I have to try it out and be one of those people that returns it because, I got no real reason to have a $3,500 thing strapped to my head. But as Griffin pointed out in the pre-show, you got to have a valid eyeglass prescription to order it, right? To do the pre-order.
How do you not have one of those as a glasses wearer?
Well, in the state of California, I don't know how it works everywhere else, but it has to be like within the last year or something like that. There's some legal nonsense about how new your prescription is, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how long it's been since I got this prescription. I'm pretty sure it's past that time. Don't know how in the world I would find it if I needed it. And if you go to the store next week for the hands-on demo before you buy, they take your glasses and scan them, so that you can see. And
that's interesting. How do they scan your glasses to determine what the prescription is?
Yeah,
even that is high tech.
They have like a laser machine that like tests the curvature of it or something.
Yeah, have you ever heard of such a thing? I never have. You have?
Yeah, I heard of it because that's what everybody who said they tried it on at WWDC said happened.
But outside of Apple,
no.
Have you ever heard of a company doing this to determine what your prescription is?
Yes, eye doctors.
I thought they did it based on your actual eyeballs, not on the lenses of your glasses.
If you go in without a prescription in a place where they'll make you glasses without a prescription, then they can do that. They can scan your glasses, and I don't know if it's as accurate as a prescription. I mean, I don't see how it could be. Yeah. But especially my glasses. I'm so freaking blind and messed up. One eye is 10 times worse than the other one, and really? So the lenses have to be super thin, otherwise they'd be as thick as a pop bottle glass, but I said pop out loud. Soda bottle glass. Sorry, I tried to leave pop.
I don't know if
soda
bottle is actually any better.
What are you supposed to call
one
it?
One of those old soda bottles.
I don't know. All right, whatever. Anyway, so that's the last minute wrinkle that might make me not buy one tomorrow morning. Also, the getting up at 5 a.m. and scanning my face is not very appealing. But next week when they have those in-store tryouts, I might have to go do it. And who knows, maybe it is absolutely such an amazing thing that I will say, yes, put it on my Apple Card now and let me take it home. Can't wait to wear it in a room with other people and have them watch me stand there slack-jawed with my finger in the air, pitching the air like a madman.
Chicken pecking the keyboard, one finger at a time.
Also very nice. And, using Siri to type and having it put in the absolute wrong thing, that'll be a very rewarding. Can't get enough of that.
All right, well, look, we have all sorts of details, last-minute details for Vision Pro. We've got this big Supreme Court decision and what it will mean for the App Store, which is definitely going to be changing. We got a bunch of stuff in here, and then we're going to wrap up with 9 cool things you can do with that old iPhone that you have, just sitting around in a drawer. You got an old iPhone sitting around in a drawer, Lewis?
I do not.
I don't either. I feel like this is something that people used to do before Apple let people trade them in, but apparently, Griffin was able to put together a nice little list here, top story on the site, at least.
Yeah, sounds like I'll have a great audience for it.
So claims Griffin. This is going to be an exhilarating story. Before we dive in, let me see here. Who are we starting with first? Oh, yeah. Well, first I want to say a thank you to SongFinch. SongFinch is the ultimate gift, an original radio quality song inspired by your story. It's unique, personal, and lasts forever. Get started on your original song at songfinch.com/CultCast. We also have a new sponsor. You may have heard of them. They're called BetterHelp. Let me see if I can bring this up. There we go. BetterHelp. So I have friends who are therapists, and I always like talking to them. Have you ever noticed, like, when people are therapists, they're just very easy to talk to. They help you work things out that you didn't even think were problems. But, with your personal friends, you can't just pour out all your problems, especially if the therapist is like your wife's or your buddy's wife or something. That gets a little bit weird. And, life can be hard. It can be stressful, especially the last 3 years, I feel like, have been so strange. And sometimes it gets to a point where you don't know what to do, and you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious. And in times like these, I do think it's actually good to talk to somebody, someone who can listen to you, someone who can give you insights that maybe you didn't think of, someone who can help you get out of a rut. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, you should give BetterHelp a try. The nice thing about it is it's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient and suited to your schedule. And if you've ever tried to book an appointment with a therapist, they're actually very hard to lock down. They're all very busy people, and it's hard to get an appointment, and then you have to go in there, which is not convenient. With BetterHelp, you just fill out a brief questionnaire, which I'm showing on screen right now, and you get matched to a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, which is important because sometimes you get matched with someone and you meet, and there's just no vibes there. Or you get negative vibes, and you're like, no, this is not the one for me. And I think the right person makes a huge difference. So if you're ready to get started, you want to celebrate the progress you've already made, visit betterhelp.com/cultcast. You can get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP/betterhelp.com/cultcast. And I want to make sure I enunciate this correctly. It's BetterHelp, not Better Health. BetterHelp with a hard P. BetterHelp.com/cultcast. All right. First story. Who's got it? I, of course, have absolutely no recollection of who's taking the first story. Is it you, Liz?
It looks like it says Griffin.
Okay. Well, I lost the notes, so take it away, Griffin.
The Supreme Court decision means major iPhone app change is on the way. The U.S. Supreme Court effectively upheld a lower court's ruling that Apple must allow third-party iPhone app developers to point customers to their websites when making purchases. This means the company is forced to drop its anti-steering rule for such applications, a major change. It's the primary result of Apple's long-running legal battle with Epic Games. The Supreme Court didn't technically rule on it, but they declined to pick it up as a case, which, upheld what the lower court ruled. With the court's decision, or rather lack of decision, Apple finds itself out of legal options. Now the company must allow developers to notify customers that in-app purchases can be made on their websites as well as in the App Store. Apple fought the change, tooth and nail, because it'll be much harder to collect a 15 to 30% commission on purchases made outside the App Store. So, on the surface level, this sounds good. If this is something Netflix caused a big stink over because they didn't want all 30% of every Netflix subscription to go to Apple instead, it's all well and good because now they can tell people if you open the Netflix app, hey, you can sign up on Netflix.com. You don't have to go to the App Store, right? Well, not really, because there are a lot of restrictions. Apple very quickly updated their developer guidelines with all the additional rules, and they largely followed the playbook of, I think, how this works in like the Netherlands and like Japan and other countries where this has been ruled on as well. There can only be one single link to one URL inside the app. The link can only appear in one fixed place and not on any pop-ups or any modal dialog boxes. So it's not like you go to the checkout page and the thing pops up and it's like, hey, you can go on the website instead. No, it has to be in a fixed part of the app. When you tap on the link, a pop-up will appear which says, you're about to go to an external website. Apple is not responsible for the privacy or security of purchases made on the web.
Tim Cook recommends
Any
you don't do
accounts or purchases made outside the app will be managed by the developer. Your App Store account, store payment method, and related features such as subscription management and refund requests will not be available. Apple can't verify any pricing or promotions offered by the developer. Continue or cancel.
Yeah.
You want to spend money on the internet with your credit card?
They also have like a picture of like a skull next to it, doesn't it? Like a red skull dripping with blood.
Blinking.
With red glowing eyes.
And the best part is Apple still expects developers to pay a commission. So the 30% or 15% tax is only brought down to 27% or 12%. And it's on the developers to just make these payments to Apple. And if Apple doesn't think you're being honest, they are allowed at any time to ask you for an audit of all your transactions and your payments to Apple. And if you don't comply, they can just remove your apps from the App Store or revoke your entire developer account. So,
well, that's the part I thought was most
magnanimous.
interesting out of all this. Like, I mean, we knew that Apple wasn't going to give developers a big savings over this anyway, but they're moving from a we pay you what we owe you model where we deduct our fees on the front end to now it's essentially an honor system. That is a massive shift for and a huge incentive for any developer, unscrupulous developer who wants to try to game the system. Because think how many millions of developers there are. They could all just move to their own payment systems. And what is Apple going to go after all these small developers? They'll go after the big ones, but the small ones are going to be incentivized to basically lie to Apple on how much they're actually selling, which is not a good thing as a huge Apple stockholder. I don't like that part. But I am happy that people have the freedom to do this now. And you know, it's funny. I'm a YouTube, I think they call it YouTube Premium now, subscriber. And what people, I think regular people don't realize is how much extra Apple tax you're paying when you subscribe to things via Apple, via the app itself, right? In-app payment. Like I was paying some low sum for YouTube Premium, and they wanted to mark it up to like $18 a month, which I was like, holy man, that's a huge increase. And then I realized, oh, they're working in the Apple fee into that price. If you go to Google directly, it's much cheaper. And I think a lot of people don't realize this. So for consumers, this could be a good thing. But I think tons of developers are going to lie to Apple about how much they're actually making. I'm certainly not encouraging people to do that, but a lot of people, when it comes to money, are maybe not gonna lie outright and say, oh, we didn't make any sales, but they'll probably adjust how many sales did we actually make. Like Apple's not gonna receive everything that they're due, so this is gonna mean less revenue for Apple and the App Store, I think. If you're moving to an honor system, that is.
Yeah, the thing is, this is a solution that nobody is happy about because Apple isn't happy that they have to concede even a single penny of the 30% that they like to take. Developers are furious about this. Like I've seen a lot of independent developers, Brent Simmons, et cetera, like going on about how this basically changes nothing and this isn't really giving them anything. Like saying that developers have the freedom to go outside the App Store is a very generous use of the word freedom. And the thing is, the U.S. government isn't going to be, like, the regulators who are breathing down Apple's neck aren't going to be happy about this either because Apple isn't following the spirit of the ruling whatsoever. Reducing their tax by only 3% is crazy, and it's just going to prolong this battle. Like, what is Apple's end game here? Do they seriously think that all of the regulators who are like watching their every move are going to be like, oh, yeah, that's good enough. All right. Thank you. Yeah,
look,
good job, Tim.
I'm no legal professional, but if you can't win, you delay is what I've heard. And that's what they're doing here. And also, they are, it seems, going along with the letter of the law. The complaint was, we want to use alternate payment systems. And Apple said, oh, okay, here you go. You can
try this on for
You can try this. It's going to benefit you in no way. It might even be more onerous than the current way that we do things. And we still want all the money that we think that you owe us. Which is funny because I remember when Steve Jobs first introduced the Apple Store, and his argument was, oh, well, we're taking 30%, and people were not happy about that huge cut, obviously. But he was like, well, we run the store, we take the payments, and we do all this stuff for you. And I think a big part of that was, oh, we manage all the payments and we pay you. And now that's being removed. And they're like, oh, we still want the 27%. We'll give you a 3% discount because that's how much payment platforms typically charge. But we still want a majority of our cut. So they're going to structure this in a way where they are going along with the ruling, but only to the degree that they absolutely have to. Like, they're going to do as little as possible. And I don't think that this is going to change. I think this is going to be what developers get, and they probably won't get any more for Apple. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I think this is done. Maybe in the EU, they could be forced to do other things, but here in the United States, I mean, the lawsuit is over. And in fact, this leads me to my next story. This was stunning to me. So all of this stuff originated from the lawsuit via Epic, who tried to build in their own payment system into Fortnite in their iOS game, and then Apple said no, kicked them out of the App Store. Epic sued them. So Epic only lost or only won, I think, one aspect of that case against Apple, and I think there was like 10 things that they were fighting for, if I understand that correctly. Yeah, they were charging Apple with 10 different counts of stuff. They lost 9. They won 1. And as a result of that, this was mind-blowing to me. And I can't help but think that TC is just giggling at the prospect of getting legal fees recouped from Epic. Following the end of the Epic Games versus Apple case, the Fortnite developer will be required to pay Apple over $73 million in legal fees. The 3-year legal battle between Epic and Apple fizzled out this week as the Supreme Court declined to hear their appeals, or declined to hear appeals from either side. With the case concluded, though, Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers ruled that Epic owes Apple $73 million in legal fees. So Apple basically had to calculate their legal fees, which, I don't know, $73 million? Like, how much are you paying your legal team? These are all in-house people. Well, maybe they're not. Maybe Apple had to pay some high-powered legal team.
I read that number came from what the estimate of what Apple lost due to Epic adding their own payment system and not using the App Store. Like, that's the money that Apple, like Epic owes Apple because they accepted their own payments rather than use the App Store.
Okay. So apparently this number isn't final. There's going to be a hearing about this where all of this has to be finalized. But apparently it seems like some of this money or much of this money is a result of Epic breaching their agreement with Apple and the judge holding that they breached their agreement with Apple by trying to integrate their own payment system. Let's see here. Epic later admitted that it had been a long-planned campaign to force third-party stores on iOS, which I think in a way I commend them for doing that, for taking a stand. That must have been a very hard decision, and they're going to pay dearly for losing. But I do think that they have made some positive changes. Unfortunately, we are not getting an alternate app store here in the U.S. I know some people aren't a fan of that idea. I am. I just think it would be cool. I guess my position has always been, well, you own the phone, and just like a Mac, you should be allowed to install whatever you want on it. Like, why does Apple get to decide what apps should exist on your phone? They don't get to do that with your Mac. What's the difference between a phone and a Mac? Nothing. So you should be allowed to install whatever you want on your phone, and I don't like the idea that Apple unilaterally controls that. Like, if they want to control their own app store, of course, that makes sense to me. It's their app store. But why can't you install apps from another app store? And doing so, Apple indemnifies themselves and disavows you doing it and shows the skull with the red glowing eyes and the dripping blood from the face saying that you should definitely not do this. But how harmful could it be? You know, you do it on the Mac. So I would love to see that happen here in the U.S. It seems like there's momentum for that happening at some point since it's happening in Europe. But the Apple v. Epic battle has concluded, and it's going to end with Epic having to fork over, $70 million.
It's not over.
Well, it's not over yet, right? But it's almost over.
Sweeney has already vowed that they're going to
keep fighting,
take it back to court. Yeah.
How can you do that? The Supreme Court...
Epic will contest Apple's bad faith compliance plan in district court.
But how can you... Oh, okay, so he's going to maybe come at it from a different angle, so saying that that Apple's not complying with the ruling from the court saying that they had to allow alternate payment systems. Because it at least as far as I understand, I don't mean to belabor this, but it was never about the fee structure. It was about the alternate payment system. And Apple can charge you whatever they want to be in their App Store, right? Which is part of my problem with the App Store model is, yes, Apple can do whatever they want with their store, but what happens if you don't want to play by their rules? Then you don't get to have an app on the iPhone, which that seems strange to me. People are paying for these devices. They're not subsidized by Apple. So, I don't think that they are. So you should be able to install whatever the heck you want on there. You should be able to run Android on your iPhone if you want. I don't think it's going to run very well. It doesn't run very well on Samsung devices, but it should be an option. Am I wrong about that, chat? I don't know. Let me know. So, I think that concludes...
What a mess.
Apple v. Epic. It looks like developers will now be able to show you that you can pay less from them via their own websites, which I think will be a good thing. This will mean that paid services for apps should decrease in price because now they won't have to... Well, actually...
3%.
They're going to save you 3%.
They're going to be more expensive because they're going to have to do so much paperwork to comply. I don't know. The whole thing's nuts.
Well, couldn't developers do it this way? They can give their apps away for free, which many of them might do, and then point you to their own websites to pay for services. And if they do it that way, then they don't owe Apple any money, I don't think. I think the only reason they would owe Apple money is if they're using an alternate payment system for their app and charging for that app when you download it. But if they give you the app for free, but they lock all the features behind a paywall that can only be accessed by paying them on their own websites, then they avoid
the app won't be approved. That breaks different App Store rules.
But would it break the rules? Because you're allowed to... I thought the whole point was they're allowed to steer you into a different way to pay in the apps now, which they couldn't do before.
Yeah,
but an app has to have a certain amount of functionality before you pay as well.
Okay. Well, what if they give it to you for free, though? So they give you...
Well, if you download a free app, but it does nothing until you pay, then that breaks App Store rules.
So you have to do like a couple things. Like add a couple features in there. It's like the most useless app until... And one of the sections is unlock all features on our website, which I don't think
why don't you try betting
before.
your entire business on that and see how well it goes? That's not a risk that a lot of developers are willing to take.
I don't know, but this is definitely going to make things interesting in the App Store. And as I said, as an Apple stock owner, this makes me a little nervous. It might be time to liquidate and get into
it'll
NVIDIA.
Probably change nothing. It'll just lose more developer goodwill.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't know how much Apple cares about developer goodwill. They care about developer revenue. I'm sure they care about it to a certain degree, but, ultimately they're there to make money. I'm not sure. And what are you going to do? If you want to be, it's an oligopoly. You either are going to be in the Play Store or in the App Store. And you got to play by the rules of Google or by Apple. I'm not sure if one's better than the other. And at least with Android, you can sideload, which I think is one of the actual major benefits of Android. And I would love to see something like that come to iOS. All right, well, there's your App Store news. Let's move on. Let's talk about the changes coming to Apple Watch, which we had a big update. Was it today, Lewis? I think so.
I can't keep track. My head's spinning with all these things. So, speaking of legal nightmares, with the Apple Watch sales ban back, Apple has decided to sell its latest smartwatches without blood oxygen monitoring in the United States. The tweaked Apple Watch Series 9 and Apple Watch Ultra 2 models go on sale today across the company's online and retail stores. This all stems from this patent dispute they've had with Massimo, and I can't remember the name of the company, Cherkacor or something like that. They claim that Apple infringed upon their patents for blood oxygen monitoring, and court ruled with them, or not the court. It was like the I can never
FTC,
remember.
the Federal Trade Commission, right?
You did something like that. Anyway, so they agreed with them and they banned it. And so what is Apple's not making any hardware changes to these watches. Instead, it's just going to turn off the blood oxygen sensor feature through software. Basically, you buy the phone the watch, and the blood, what's it called? The blood oxygen app doesn't work.
They're just deleting the app.
Doesn't work. Well, I think it's on there, but it just doesn't work.
I thought they were actually deleting the app entirely. Like, it's just not even going to be there, and the functionality won't be there in any of the software that you use either.
All I know is that on Apple's site now it says Apple Watch Series 9 and Ultra 2 no longer include the blood oxygen feature.
Oh, they do.
It's here in the show notes. These units will still ship with the blood oxygen app. However, opening it will show the following message. The blood oxygen app is no longer available. Learn more in the health app on your phone.
So it's on there, but it's not on there. It's not available.
But it is available to everyone who already owns the Apple Watches.
Man, if you
sorry,
already got one, you can check your blood oxygen level right now.
I mean, I don't think I've ever done it. So whatever.
Let's see how we're doing.
Oh no, 74%.
Too complicated. Are my lips blue?
I mean, you do have COVID. Maybe you should be checking.
I did check it once. It was okay. Let's see. So
wait. So I want to make this crystal clear, because I think this is going to be a question that many people have. And Gern from the chat saying, I'm in Canada, so next software update, I lose the blood oxygen. No. If you have it, you have it. It's not going away for anyone that has it in a software update, although that could change.
And also, if you're in Canada, none of this applies to you.
Oh, that's a good point. It's only in the U.S.
You might want to turn off auto updates if this app is super important to you.
Real-time follow-up. My blood oxygen is 99.
That's a good
Wow.
No wonder your cheeks are so rosy red.
Wow. Let's see. It's not completely over. Apple's appealing this. Apple spokesperson Nikki Rothberg told The Verge, quote, Apple's appeal is ongoing, and we believe the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit should reverse the USITC's decision. We strongly disagree with the USITC decision and resulting orders. So, anyway, USITC, that's the thing I couldn't remember. U.S. International Trade Council? I don't know. Anyway, it's what a crazy couple of weeks this has been between the Apple Watch and the App Store and all this just like legal things that change one day, the next day. Oh my God. And so many appeals and temporary stays and this and that. Oh my, it's just enough to drive you mad.
Yeah, but it is. I'm glad that we're covering this, because I think there's been a lot of confusion over whether or not this dispute was going to boil over into people who already own the watch. And I'm actually surprised that's not seemingly the case at this point. So it only affects new sales of Apple Watches. I thought what was going to happen is, oh, you're violating our patent. You need to shut this off for literally everybody who has the watch. And I'm surprised it didn't actually happen that way. Why wouldn't it? I mean, if you're violating their patent, you're violating their patent. I guess maybe because the money's already been made on those sales, so that doesn't matter anymore. But
yeah, and I mean, this is technically a sales and import ban into the United States. Mm-hmm. So they can't make them in China and send them here. They can't sell them with that working. I don't know. The whole thing is just completely nuts. I can't believe it got this far. I can't believe that we're at the point where they're selling gimped Apple Watches. It's just weird.
Bring out the gimp. Anybody? No? Okay. Well, I guess we'll see how this plays out. You said that they had a pending stay, right? They're waiting for a federal court.
They're appealing.
Okay, they're appealing. Right, because the federal court. Okay. So it is possible that this feature will return or the verdict gets stayed while they appeal, but who knows? But in the meantime, I don't know. I don't know how many people care about oxygen levels in their blood. I imagine most people probably don't care. But you are getting one less feature now when you buy the Apple Watch, and of course the price isn't changing. Only the feature set. So that could be something that people might want to think about before buying the Apple Watch Series 9 or the Apple Watch Ultra 2?
For once, not, quoting Gurman on his reporting, he had a funny little thing. He's like, I think Apple should just include a little $10 blood oximeter in it with every watch.
I just include like the one that you put on your finger.
Yeah.
And you connect it with a wire to your Apple Watch so it shows on the Apple Watch screen. There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs would have loved that solution.
Reading unsuccessful. I tried. I got an unsuccessful reading.
Well, I think what was funny was
switched off.
Uh-oh. You better take that reading again. You got COVID after all. The CEO of that Massimo Corporation was like, well, the feature sucks anyway, so people are actually better off not having it on the Apple Watch because it doesn't even work that well. And, funny enough, we got people posting their oxygen concentrations in the chat here. I have no idea why. But some of these seem pretty low, like 95%, 93%, 96%. Like I thought normally, like a normal reading was actually maybe 95% plus. Again, I'm not a doctor. I thought it was supposed to be like 98, 99%. But
I think they say as long as it's 95, you got nothing to worry about.
Oh, really? Okay. But
98.
So if
98.
There you go. That's pretty good. So if it's below 95, I would attribute that first to maybe just the watch not being accurate. Maybe it is not an accurate way of reading the blood oxygen sensor.
I mean, I remember when COVID was, first poisoning our lives back in 2000. And one of the big things was like, oh, you got to have one of these blood oxygen level reader. And you need to check yourself all the time because what was happening was people were suddenly like they're down to 80%. They didn't know it, but they were, that was a big indication that, oh, gee, you're headed for some serious problems because of this infection you got. So that's when there was a run on those blood oxygen things. And then Apple came out with this feature in the watch. It was perfectly timed. I mean, you couldn't even imagine like a better feature right in the middle of COVID. Or not the middle, the beginning of COVID. But, it's not a kind of thing that I check religiously. Maybe athletes do. Maybe athletes want to see what is my, am I at 100% or what? I really don't know how useful it is for athletes.
Well,
because I'm not one.
You are not an elite
I know,
athlete?
it's hard to believe.
I don't believe you. I mean, if darts players aren't elite athletes, I don't know who is, Lewis. I mean, sure, they play their entire sport with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.12, but that's fine. Some athletes prefer 0, but it makes the sport more enjoyable. Someone's saying that it's a good way to diagnose sleep apnea if your blood oxygen drops while you're sleeping. Yeah, man, people are really talking about this. We got someone in the chat who's a respiratory therapist. What are the odds of that?
Really?
Holy moly.
Wow.
I don't know. Or do you just play one on TV? Okay. All right, well, I guess we'll have to wait and play. Let's see how this plays out. Now, I know that for most of the people who listen to this program, you already have Apple Watches already, so none of this probably affects you since you already purchased yours. But if you're thinking about buying an Apple Watch, yeah, T4 Runner saying blood alcohol would be a better option. I agree. Wouldn't that be super useful to have blood alcohol on your watch? Maybe you can just go, breathe on the screen. Every time you breathe on it, you fog it up to clean it. It takes your blood alcohol reading. That'd be pretty handy.
The other thing, just to be clear, this runs in the background, right? So it doesn't just record your blood alcohol, your blood oxygen level when you remember to take it. It does it in the background, like just with like the heart stuff. It's always constantly sort of in the background monitoring things. So yeah, in that regard, yes, it's kind of we can say, oh, nobody ever uses it anyway, but it's ticking around in the background of your watch if you already bought one.
That's right.
Sorry, suckers, if you didn't get one yet. That's
why you got to buy it right when it comes out. And you'll have an opportunity to do that with a brand new product here, the Apple Vision Pro. A whole new product category going on sale tomorrow at the crack of 5 a.m. Before we do that, though, let's talk about the giveaway, Lewis, shall we? This is a perfect time to give people an opportunity to win this case, which is actually a beautiful case.
Yeah, you still got a few days to enter. This is a giveaway of the Pitaka iPhone 15 case. We're giving away 4 of them. You get either a sunset or a moonrise case. And unfortunately, you don't get to choose. We're going to randomly give those out because we got 2 of each. The Sunset one is a reboot of the Sunset Moment case for iPhone 14 that sold out last year. We had a giveaway for those 2. That was a limited edition case. Really cool looking. It's made out of aramid fiber that's like woven, and it's kind of orange and brown. It has a real Southwest look to it if you like that kind of thing. To go along with that orange brown one, now they got this. That one's called Sunset, a new version of it called Sunset. Now there's a blue one called Moonrise, which I think looks even cooler. I like the blue
do too.
one.
I like it better.
Yeah. These cases are Pataka's thinnest design to date, measure 0.75 millimeters and weigh just 13 grams. They've got full MagSafe, it's charging capabilities. They don't interfere with MagSafe. Let's put it that way. You get a nice firm connection, which is a problem with some cases, some lesser cases. Made using Pataka's proprietary fusion weaving process, which weaves those colored aramid fibers into unique looking cases. And they are unique looking. Yeah. If you're showing a picture of it, people can see they're they almost look like, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a tight basket weave. It's very unique looking case.
It's almost like cross stitch.
Yeah, it's wild looking.
Yeah.
I always say it looks like a thing I still don't know how to pronounce. Gila monster?
A Gila monster. Yeah, you said it right.
Okay, good. Anyway, so those cases are exceptionally durable, really unique looking, I think good looking. And I think they retail for $69. So, hey, if you want a case for your iPhone 15, get in there and enter. Go to the homepage, cultamac.com, scroll down to the giveaway section, click on the link, enter. You got multiple ways to enter. None of them cost any money. All of them give you a real good chance of winning.
And I'll post a link to this in the chat, which I already did. And I'll also put this in the show notes. And by me, I mean Griffin, so that you can access this. And this one, I'm looking at the entries. I say this a lot, but I really mean it this time. You got a chance. You got a chance at winning one of these cases. If you're listening to this, which is most of you, it's a super thin but tough as nails case that looks really nice on the iPhone and complements the curves and bends.
It really breaks my heart when I see these giveaways with not a whole lot of entries, because I mean, you can enter by, none of it's egregious. Like you can, I think, go look at a Twitter page, maybe follow someone on Twitter, sign up for our newsletter. That's the easiest way to do it. Get the Cult of Mac Today newsletter, which is, I don't know, it's very popular. Every day, Leander labors and toils.
Leander does it.
He puts,
say no more.
At least 35% effort in getting that thing out. And but yeah, it's a quick and easy read. It's Leander's take on the news of the day, or the how-to of the day, whatever. It's got news, how-tos, sometimes reviews. It's basically
this is
like
the newsletter you're talking about.
Best of Cult. Yeah, and it's free. You sign up for free. You're not going to get spammed with a bunch of garbage. You're signing up for a daily Cult of Mac email. That's frankly a pretty good read. So
we're not asking you to do anything difficult like run nude through the quad.
Woo!
Now that would be something that
we're requesting that you don't.
Well, speak for yourself, Liz. Don't speak for me. I think that would be fair to win a case of this caliber. To send us a video of you running nude through the quad, I think that might be worth it. All right. Well, again, link in the show notes and in the chat. And before we move on, I also do want to just say a quick thank you to SongFinch for supporting this episode. Where am I? I've completely lost my place. No, that's not it. There we go. SongFinch is an original song written just for you, inspired by your story. I got my song, gentlemen, and I thought about playing it here on the show, but it ended up being so beautifully personal that I was like, I can't play this. Like, I should have had the song. I had it written for my wife, and it was a really unique and beautiful present, but I should have had it written for someone on the show so we all could have listened to it together and had the reaction live, because I can't really play the song. It's too mushy and you're all going to start crying. It's about my wife and our journey together and our kids, but I can tell you what it was like to give a song like this to somebody. And I guess what I would say is, that look that someone gets on their face when they get a gift that's truly special, and their eyes start welling up with those happy tears. That's what it's like giving someone a SongFinch song, because the artists that they use are all very talented singer-songwriters, and you get to go through their list of their huge array of available artists. You get to choose one with the song style that you like, and then you go through and you give them some information that you want them to know about your song. And so you're participating in the process. Even though the actual songwriter is doing all the work, it feels like you did something. It feels like you helped create something. And then days later, after the process is done, you just get this song in your email. And then you get to present it to the person that you love and watch them listen to it for the first time. And it's one of the most unique gift-giving experiences that I've had. And it's something that we'll always remember. It's not a forgettable gift. Like, those gifts that you've given that are things that you don't forget about, or things that you've received that really stick out in your mind. Funny enough, mine was, one of the gifts I'll never forget was my aunts in middle school gave me a set of like banana hammock underwear when I was like in middle school. And I was
very memorable.
Not memorable in a good way though, Lewis. Not memorable in a good way. I was so outraged that I'd gotten this underwear. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm like in 8th or 9th grade. I think I'm going to wear these in the locker room? Like bikini briefs for men? But this is the opposite of that. This is a gift you'll remember fondly and will be something that you can listen to for the rest of your life. It might even become like the song, like your song. Valentine's Day is coming up. This is a really great gift for significant others, spouses, anyone that you want to have well up with tears and have that moment together where they realize that you got them something truly special. So here's what you need to do. For a limited time, SongFinch is letting our listeners upload their song on Spotify for free, so you can listen to your new favorite song anywhere you go. Go to songfinch.com/cultcast and start your song. After you purchase, you'll be prompted to add Spotify streaming to your original song for free. That's a $50 value. This offer is only available to our listeners using our URL, so you have to go to songfinch.com/cultcast, songfinch, FINCH.com/cultcast. Think about it. Do you have someone in your life that would love a nostalgic, high feels gift like this? I have some people in my life that would love it. My wife's reaction was exactly what I was hoping it would be. And if we keep SongFinch on for a while, I'm going to ask them to give us a new song. And I was telling them, you should let me make one about Prison Lou and how special he is to us. And then we could play it here live on the show. Then we could actually play the song.
I just want you to know that I don't cry, Erfan.
Well, Lewis, you've never had an original song made just for you about your experience in California State Prison and your fatigues that you had to wear and how you really made it through those hard times. I think once we get that song on Spotify, Niagara Falls, Lewis. Songfinch.com/cultcast. Okay. Where are we in the show notes? I've completely lost my place. I have absolutely no idea where we are or what's going on.
It's for you, man.
How to
it's
move
all
ahead.
you about
that's
Apple
right.
Vision
Okay.
Pro's lengthy
so
sales pitch.
let's. I teased this earlier. Vision Pro. It's going to be a tough sell. It's $3,500. I think that most of these are going to get purchased up by scalpers. In fact, Ming-Chi Kuo had a story this week. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I think this is relevant. Apple will only produce up to 80,000 Vision Pro headsets for launch. Sellout is likely. Griffin was saying that he wants to buy one of these and just keep it in a box for 20 years and then sell it at Sotheby's for $35,000. We don't even know if Vision Pro is going to be around in a year or two. I honestly am not even sure if this product category. I see your wince over there, Griffin. But if this thing bombs hard,
Apple's going to cancel it after 1 year. That's crazy.
I mean, Apple Hi-Fi, man. Apple Hi-Fi.
1 year where they sell out all of them. Yeah, no. Let's cancel this. It's not going anywhere.
Well, if they get sold out and then 75% of them get returned, then I think that might change the math. But you're right; they probably won't cancel it at a year. I'm being a little bit maybe a little bit conservative with my estimate there, but I wouldn't be surprised if at a certain point Apple did cancel this project entirely, because this is a huge, confusing product category. And the fact that they are going to be trying to demonstrate what this product can do, and it's going to take 25 minutes to explain. So let's go back to this story. Where are we? Apple's Vision Pro will have a lengthy sales pitch that will include a 25-minute demo. So when you go into the store, you make your appointment, you go in. This is from the Germinator, by the way. They're going to have this huge demo, and it's going to last about a half hour. Like, that's maybe appropriate, I guess, for a product that costs $3,500, but the iPhone made sense. The iPod made sense. The Apple Watch makes sense. AirPods make sense. Like, they don't need a demo like this. And the fact that they need a long demo like this, I think, is indicative of a paradigm shift in computing. I think that's fair. But also, it's an uphill push, right? Like, you really have to tell people and educate people on why they should be spending this much money beyond the hardcore Apple fans who are going to be buying this no matter what, beyond people who are going to be trying to scalp this, beyond YouTubers who are going to buy it just to return it. For regular people, you really have to help them understand why Vision Pro is something that is worth as much as Apple is charging. And every time I look at videos on YouTube about Vision Pro, they all get low views. People don't seem to care. And this is it. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. Can Apple make a case now that this product is real? Can they show you why it's special? Can they paint you a story from where you are to where you'll be and convince you that this is going to be a shift in computing and will maybe even replace your iPhone at a certain point? So far, I don't see it, but I haven't done the demo yet. So when you go in for your demo, maybe it will be a different story. Yes, Griffin, take it away.
I feel like saying that Apple needs to give you a 25-minute demo so that you can even understand the product is a bit of a cynical take on it. Whereas, like, the difference between the Vision Pro with all the other products is that, like, they can set up a table of iMacs or a table of iPhones or, a giant row of watches where you can mix and match watches and bands. And, the customers can just, feel free to, like, rummage through and try them out and see how they work and all that. Vision Pro, they're only going to have a couple of them in the store. It's going to be so volume that they can only have, like, one demo unit that's available to people. It's not like they can have, like, a giant shelf of Vision Pros that people can just put on and try themselves. The purpose of a 25-minute demo is, like, it's just a structured way to give people a full experience of the product if they want to try it out. Like, the details of the demo, like Mark Gurman said, that, like, they're going to play, like, clips of movies. They're going to have, like, an app demo where, like, you're walking across a tightrope. They'll show you a bunch of apps and stuff like that, for productivity. Like, the 25-minute demo is just to show you everything that it can do. It's not like Apple's, like, desperate to get people through this pitch so that they can try to sell the product. I'm sure that Apple is well aware that a lot of people are just going to try them on who have absolutely no intention of buying the product. They just wanted to show it to everybody, because the more people know how it works and know how it's different to every other crummy headset out there, the better.
Norbert from the chat saying it's going to be like a timeshare presentation. You get a free vacation at Disney if you just come in and try the thing on and get it fitted. I mean, think how many moving parts there are going to be for this. They have to make your own special face seal, right? They have to...
The cushion. They got, like supposedly 25 different sized cushions, right?
25 different cushions.
And then 2 light seals is what I've heard.
And then all the different lenses.
The light seal is the same as the cushion. I don't think those are different. The light seal is the cushion. I thought
they were the same.
I don't know about
that.
And
I think I remember hearing that they had a bunch of different sizes.
Oh, sorry.
Prototypes, but now that they're in production, they have, like, 2 different sizes.
What's going on? Are you having a birthday party over there, Lewis?
It's 2 cushion sizes, 25 shapes for the light seal. Excuse me. Had that flipped.
Okay.
But so part of that is scanning your face with the app, like using Face ID that figures out, what shape of melon you got. And this is the thing that most closely approximates your, weird facial setup, right? And then they got to, and also deal with the glasses, as we were mentioning. Like, if you wear glasses, they have to scan your lenses. That's not going to take for long, but I mean, how many? They're going to have like racks and racks of those Zeiss lens inserts, right? Unless, one thing I've never heard anybody say exactly how how close this is. Like if God forgive me, I don't actually know how they what the measurements are, but let's just say my left eye is a 1 and my right eye is a 7.5. It's going to be like, oh, here's a 1 and here's a 6. Because 6 is close enough to 7.5. I don't know how exact these things will be for the inserts, but yeah, they gotta do all that before that 20 to 25 minute thing even starts. But before they hand you the thing and say, go ahead, put it on.
I'm going to just read this. This is actually a really good piece by Gurman. Let's see here. So this is the actual process. Let me see if I can find this. Why do we have Al Gore on here? I must have scrolled too far. Here we go. The retail employee will allow users to place the device on their own heads. Once the headset is on, customers will need to calibrate the device with various tracking and tapping exercises so it can follow their eyes and hands. That includes looking at a circular dot or circular dot patterns set at different brightness levels and a hand scan in the field of vision of the device. After all that's done, the demo begins. Users will be directed to the Photos app to view still images that are similar to the ones preloaded on Apple's other devices, followed by examples of panorama shots. I bet that's pretty cool. Then the demo starts to get more interesting. The customer sees 3D images that Apple calls spatial photos, in this case of a kid hitting a piñata. Oh, dude, this reminds me of is Blade Runner 2049 of this girl who's like a what do they call it? She's a memory designer, and she uses like this little interesting hand machine to spin things around in 3D space and like design memories. That's what it's going to be like. You're going to be able to, or Minority Report, you'll be able to watch these videos in lifelike 3D spatial video. I bet that's going to be a pretty big selling point, especially now that you can do video on your iPhone. Like that could sell it right there. The next part of the demo shows how to use the device as a computer or iPad replacement. Good luck typing. It explains how to position multiple app windows in space and scroll through web pages in the Safari browser. Customers are then showed 3D and immersive movies, including clips of wild animals, the ocean, and sports. There's also a compelling scene that makes users feel as if they're on a tightrope. Oh, dude, I don't know about that. Although I guess they will not be. What they won't be doing is watching Netflix movies. Am I right? Ew. I mean, it's going to be, I'm sure this presentation is going to be incredibly polished and it's going to make those dollar bills float out of your pocket. Like, you're going to go in there thinking that there's no way you're buying the timeshare. You're walking out of there with a 2-week timeshare. And you may just be walking out with the Vision Pro. I'm still on the fence. Once I see it in action, maybe I'll be convinced, especially if I can somehow get a discount on one of these things. There's no way I'm spending $3,500 on it because after tax in here in Seattle, that's almost $4,000. It's kind of a lot for something that seems to be an iPad replacement but wrapped on your face, like a face hugger from Aliens. And then, of course, there is the in-app payment to be able to remove the Vision Pro from your head once the bands tighten and you realize that you can't get it off without paying Apple a fee.
Seems like misinformation.
You just have to wait for 2 hours for the battery to die.
Oh, there you go. It doesn't take long. Yeah, just maybe watch a movie. In an hour, it'll be over. Yeah, by then your skull might be cracked out. I'm not sure how fast the bands tighten. I'm of course joking. Please don't sue me, Apple. So let's see. Are there any other details that I wanted to mention? Oh yeah, there are a couple things. So Gurman mentioned on Twitter that the keyboard experience on Vision Pro is just, he didn't say this, these are my words, but apparently just absolutely terrible. Do I have the tweet pulled up? I don't think I do.
I doubt it.
It's in the show notes. You have a screenshot
I have it here,
there.
but why didn't I open this in the actual, let's see if I can, there we go. So Gurman's saying that the Vision Pro virtual keyboard is a complete write-off, at least in 1.0. You have to poke each key with one finger at a time like you did before you learned how to type. And what do you mean? That's how Leander Caney still types to this day. He's going to love this experience. It's going to be custom designed just for him. There is no magical in-ear typing. You can look at a character and pinch, but you'll want a Bluetooth keyboard. Okay, well, look, I mean, if you're going to be doing anything productivity related, I don't think it's that onerous to expect you to have your own Bluetooth keyboard. I would probably prefer that to a software keyboard anyway, but without a actual keyboard, I don't think this is going to be much of a productivity device. It's going to be more like an iPad replacement. And then the other thing that I mentioned is, let's see here. Where do I have this? Did I not bring this up either? What happened? I blame you, Lewis.
I'm sure it's my fault. I'm sure.
You distracted me in the. Well, I guess I'll just mention this. So there won't be a Netflix app to launch with the Vision Pro. So you might think that there would be because Apple's going to be making a big push for content, but Netflix is now competing with Apple TV Plus. So I don't know if their content will ever be available on the Vision Pro. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if most streaming platforms didn't make their apps available for the Vision Pro, but Apple will probably at some point. That would be pretty cool, but Apple's now competing with all of these different streaming platforms. So I don't know if that creates any situation where they're like, yeah, we're not going to support Vision Pro. Like, why would we do that?
I mean, the thing is, the Vision Pro is a full desktop class web browser. I tested it in the Xcode simulator. I went to youtube.com, for example, without the YouTube app. You brought up a video in Safari, hit full screen, and it's actually pretty neat because on the Vision Pro, like you're looking at a website, you have a little toolbar on top. When you hit full screen mode, I was like, well, what's going to happen? Because it's not like Vision Pro is a full screen like a regular computer does. The Safari toolbar disappears and the window gets like a little bit bigger and wider, and like your sort of environment like gets a little dimmer around you, but you can still play videos. You just have to go to a web browser to do it.
Zappy D from the chat saying Airphone's YouTube video with clickbait thumbnail incoming. You won't believe this insane Vision Pro hidden feature. That's not a bad title right there. That is not a bad title. $3,500 is pocket change. I don't know about that. $3,500.
Wow,
it's a lot of money no
what
matter
kind of pocket do you have?
Yeah, you must have deep pockets. Yeah, let's be friends.
Yeah.
Look, $3,500 is not insurmountable for people, but it is for something that you may not be using on a regular basis. I think that's where we got the problem. Is if you need a computer and you're going to be using it for work, then maybe $3,500 makes sense. But the Vision Pro, it's kind of opaque on what this thing will really do for you and if it will be something that you'll use on a regular basis. Then I think the $3,500 contextually becomes a lot more because now it's a toy. You're not buying something you need. You're buying something that you want to play with, and that's a different category of product, and that's going to be a tougher sell, I think. Let me see here. I think that wraps up all of our last-minute Vision Pro stories. Oh, wait, maybe not. There is one more thing that you may want to know. Right, Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't exactly breaking news. We've known for a while that this thing is heavy, but, I found it kind of amusing reading this week's latest sort of sneak peeks by a couple of handpicked journalists that I'm sure these are completely staged, managed presentations. But three of them reported feeling discomfort or even pain after wearing the headset for short periods, this Vision Pro thing. So what was amazing to me was as I read each one of these, you could feel them almost like trying to like, oh, well, this is really pretty cool. And yeah, I like this part. And I saw this dinosaur and I kind of screamed a little bit, it's like but then they all like, not every single one, but a huge percentage of these people still got around to saying like, well, strapping this thing on your head for a half hour is not really that comfortable. I was especially like, I was kind of shocked by this one. This is Sherilyn Lowe from Engadget. She says, 15 minutes into my experience, I started to feel weighed down by the device. And 5 more minutes, I was in pain. I'm not looking for actual pain in my $3,500 headset. Another person, The Verge's Victoria Song, said, by the end of the demo, I started to feel the weight of the headset bring me back to the real world. Been furrowing my brow, concentrating so hard. I felt the beginnings of a mild headache. That tension dissipated as soon as I took the headset off. And Marquez Brownlee from YouTube, maybe you've heard of him. It was pretty funny. He said, like, the first time he wore it, he thought it was a little heavy. Second time, and the third time, his thing was like, damn, this thing is heavy. Typing experience is decent, some cool apps to check out, but wow, so heavy. So, I mean, all these people were not wearing this thing for that long, and the thing has what a 2.5 hour max battery life. So, we're not talking about people wearing this thing for like all day. I mean, my neck hurts after staring at a computer all day without a 1 pound on my head.
That's right.
So, I mean, it's kind of weird because Apple knew Apple's known about this as an issue for a while, right? And in fact, that's why they came out with the ugly, I can't remember what it's called, dual loop strap, right? Which is, as you last week you said, it looks like a CPAP machine, right?
It does look a lot like that, yeah.
I mean, the other one, whatever it's called, I can never remember the name, Solo Knit or something like that, looks really awesome. Looks like something out of, a Star Wars prop room, right? It looks next level, like, wow, sci-fi, really cool. And that's what Apple showed at the very first. But in the past 6 months, they've had all these problems with people, or reports from people saying, oh, it's too heavy. So they came with this dual loop that, is much more basic looking headset, goes over your head. You get both of them. So, you can look cool for 10 minutes when you show it off to your friends. And then when you actually want to sit down and watch a movie, you can put on the CPAP machine. But to be fair, the one woman who said she was in pain, that was when she was wearing the cool looking one, right? And she said when she put on the other one, it felt better. So apparently that does help alleviate the problem. But, it's just something else. I mean, we're talking about people wearing it for not very long. Maybe that's what this is going to end up being. I mean, as I mentioned before, you have to take off your glasses. You got to put this on. Maybe people do it like, oh, I want to watch this 10-minute intense, tightrope walking thing. I mean, maybe there'll be enough killer content that it's really worth it. It seems like Apple's pitching it as like, this is going to be a great way to watch a 3D movie, most of which are like 2.5 hours long. I mean, if it weighs so much that your head is uncomfortable, I just keep thinking back to when, I don't know when this was, 10 years ago, 3D movies, next big thing, for the 5th time or whatever. But it's like, oh, every movie's got to be shot in 3D. It's the biggest thing in the world. And, people didn't even like putting on those little, cheap Ray-Bans and walking into a theater for an hour and a half. It's putting a big thing on your head for a long time.
Goofy AF, as the kids say.
It's a bit of a hard sell, I think. We'll see. Maybe the visuals. I mean, every one of those people at some point mentioned that the visuals were awesome. I don't know if that means like awesome, or awesome compared to everything else, right? I mean, I've looked at a VR headset. Yeah, who cares, right? Yeah. Supposedly this thing looks awesome. Maybe it'll be worth it. I don't know. Apple's pitching it as entertainment now. That's like apparently their pitch.
That's the pitch, yeah.
And as like what you were saying. I mean, this is, I think, the central problem. This thing's priced like a freaking workstation, and yet it's being pitched as like, oh, watch a movie as a toy, an entertainment device.
Right.
The ultimate entertainment device, actually, I believe is what Apple called it this week.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess I'm one of those people that prefers to enjoy my entertainment ethereally. Like, I don't like listening to music on my headphones. I like to listen to them on speakers. I don't really want to watch video, at least at this point, in a headset. I'd rather have it be on my TV. But going back to the week next, I think the chat has figured out what the real problem is. And I think this comment from Mark T pretty much sums it up. Those reviewers have never been to a gym. Tech reviewers aren't known for their peak physical fitness.
Like those skinny little necks.
I'm looking at all these little skinny, weak necks, and I'm thinking to myself, Apple's not the problem. These necks are the problem.
Pencil neck geeks.
They should have brought in a bunch of bodybuilders, like Olympians, Mr. Universe types, saddled them in this thing, and you would have been like, wow, those goggles are teeny tiny for everything they do. Your neck would probably not even notice. They should have brought in those guys. Why did they bring in like these little pencil necks? That's what I want to know.
Have you guys thought about this too? I mean, like, they're pitching this as entertainment, right? Okay, entertainment for loners, right? I mean, can you? I thought about, like, for instance, you are fun. Let's say you buy one of these. Your kids are going to want to try.
It would ruin my marriage. Like, I could never use this thing in my living room with kids and my wife around. Talk about, talk about being ignored. Talking about like, don't bother me. If you put something on like this on in front of other people, it's just basically screaming, go away. I don't want to interact with you. So even if they could see your weird ghost eyes, through the through the goggles, if anything, that would just scare the hell out of my kids. They're like, Dad, and I turn around, they're like, ah! Weird ghost eyes peering at them from behind these goggles. It looks like I've crossed over into the next life.
But you know that they're going to want to try it, right? And so it's going to be, and if you wear glasses, it's not going to be right. You have to take those off. If you both wear glasses, I guess you're screwed. If it's a different prescription.
Yeah, this is not something that you share.
Unless so that makes it vision. Super weird, right? And so not only that, but the light seal, right? The light seal's not going to fit.
And the cushion. So I have a giant freaking head. I can barely buy a hat because they never fit. And you put my fro on top of that, and literally nothing fits. Like when I go to scan to order, it might even just tell me that, right from the get-go.
Your head is too large.
Error.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they should sell a family kit with all of the sizes.
This doesn't seem like something that is intended to be shared. It's so customized.
And yet, it's the one thing that, if you walk in even with a new iPhone, people are like, hey, let me see your iPhone. Like, you can say, sure, here, check it out. It's going to be impossible, but people are going to want to see it, right? Because it's going to be expensive and rare.
Such a novelty.
It's a bizarre kind of a weird place for it to be. And the whole thing of they're saying, oh, well, you can watch a movie and you can share play. You can watch it on the $3,500 headset and your wife can watch it on her iPad. And you can watch it using share play together.
That's what I want to see is some guy sitting there watching a movie with his wife when he has the goggles on and she's just watching on her iPad. And he's wearing the $3,500 Vision Pro.
I mean, if you're on the same couch, I think it's going to be a problem. If you're in separate continents, no problem. Then maybe it's a thing.
Yeah, this experience is so uniquely individual. I can't see a scenario where you'd be wearing this around other people. Unless you're in a work situation.
It's the most personal Apple product ever.
And unless you're in a work situation and then when people come and your ghost eyes appear so they know that you're paying attention to them without having to take the goggles off. Maybe in that situation, but in a family scenario, it's way too alienating to anyone who's in the room with you. I mean, when you're wearing these things, you look like an alien. You look like a space pilot with this thing on. No one's going to want to talk to you with this thing on.
Seen the latest pictures of some more candid shots of people with the latest demos. They actually let actual photographs of people wearing them go out. And, it's not quite Rudy Giuliani with the AirPods, but it's a little weird. People sitting there in a room with their hand out in front of them like they're, trying to pick invisible blueberries. It's very weird. And I got to say, the thing looks cool, but it doesn't seem all that flattering to certain people. And, man, I don't know, man. We're about to find out.
We're about to find out, man. These are coming out soon. And per Ming Chi Kuo, they are not going to have a ton of these things. So, if you're on the fence, wake up at 5 a.m., do the face scan. Your comment cracked me up earlier. If you thought ordering an iPhone at 5 a.m. was difficult, now you got to do a face scan. How many face scans are going to have to get uploaded to Apple? And then everything's timing out. You can't scan your face right. And then you got to actually perk down the money. I mean, that's just going to add a whole new layer of complexity to this whole situation.
That's something we should tell people, actually. If you do plan on doing this, A, get your prescription ready if you wear glasses, and B, update. I'm serious about this. You got to update the Apple Store app, because if you don't update it to the latest version, it doesn't have the ability to scan your face. Is what I believe I saw in Apple's marketing materials.
I'm just laughing because Gordon from the chat saying quote of the day: invisible blueberries. You're just sitting there picking at the air, trying to interact with this. I mean, dude, talk about a bizarro world experience. You come in and someone's wandering around with their hands out, right? They're wearing these glowing goggles. They're pinching at things in the air. And this is the next paradigm in computing. It looks like an alien has landed in your living room. So weird.
I still haven't seen a photograph of anybody with the ghost eyes, though. That's the one thing that I have not seen them take a picture of.
Yeah, maybe it's hard to photograph because of the different light levels or something.
Maybe it's hard to photograph in a way that doesn't look,
completely
terrifying.
Oh, man. What are we saying? We're all going to be up at 5 a.m. tomorrow buying these.
Not me. I'm going to wake up at a crisp 7:30.
Oh, God.
You Ohioans.
Yeah. The hell. I just hit my face on my microphone. All right.
So big.
I just woke up from a 20-minute nap as you guys were going on about that.
Yeah, no kidding. You did look like you were half asleep over there. Okay, let's move on. We got 9 cool things that you can do with your old, outdated iPhone. For any of you who have an old, outdated iPhone, just sitting around, just happen to be sitting around. Oh, but you know what? Before we do that, we're doing this cool podcast exchange with other podcasts, and we talk about them on the show if we think you might be interested in hearing a different tech perspective from a podcast that we think that you may like. And then they're doing the same with us, like kind of a way for us to promote our shows. And this week I wanted to give some juice to a new podcast. Do you enjoy Fresh Air on NPR? I'm gonna guess, Griffin, you do.
Oh yeah,
you look like a Fresh Air type of guy. Well, did you know
that?
If
I were young enough to listen, old enough to listen to the radio, sure.
Well, you can listen on the internet. Yeah, there's different ways. You have an app, right? Did you know that Scott Hanselman has a podcast called HanselMinutes? That is,
I did not know that.
Fresh air for the tech set. That means fresh technology and fresh faces every episode. He's got over 900 shows recorded in the last 17 years. That's a huge accomplishment. Wow. I know, because we also have almost that many episodes. Scott finds fresh tech and fresh faces and shares them with you like clockwork every week. He calls it HanselMinutes because apparently he's known as a really bad software estimator. But for you, every show is just 30 minutes long and guaranteed not to waste your time. It's like the exact opposite of this show. I just realized that as I was going through this. If you like fresh tech, check out Scott Hanselman's HanselMinutes. That's the name of the show. HanselMinutes. HanselMinutes. Wherever you get your podcasts. There you go. Some new tech content for you in the style of Fresh Air. Nice and relaxing. Fresh Air is just relaxing. That's the one thing you could say about Fresh Air. Every time you listen to it, you're just like, but I just feel my nerves calming down. Okay. I think we're all done with everything else. Sending it back to you, Griffin. 9 cool things that someone could do. Not me, because I don't have an old iPhone, but I'm sure you've got several probably. Have you ever sold an iPhone?
No, I have not.
How did I guess?
Let me make sure this box doesn't. No, this doesn't. Hey, this has my address on it, so I can't show you the full box. But yeah, just keep them in this like big, ugly cardboard box, and I just have like a stack of iPhones in there and stuff like that.
Nice storage system.
Oh yeah, brilliant. Like immediately outside of the view of this camera, my office is a total mess. Like there's these nice pine tables that I built myself, from like wood that I bought at Menards. But then immediately under it, I need a proper storage solution. Like I really want to get like a series of filing cabinets, that I can freely rearrange and store all this stuff in properly. But it's just a pile of boxes and cardboard and plastic totes and things.
Yeah, I know exactly.
But that's beside the point. If you have a similar disarray of old iPhones, you can put them to work. So this is a story that I did last weekend. I have a few tips here. Starting with number 1, you can turn your phone into a DIY HomePod. Instead of using the crummy iPod, instead of using the crummy speaker, and instead of spending a lot of money on a HomePod, you can turn it into like a room-filling speaker system. Provided it's not a very big room. So there's like these cheap speakers you can buy on Amazon. I genuinely have no idea how they work, but it's kind of like a wireless charger. There's nothing to plug in or connect to. You just sit your phone on top of it, and then it just like makes it like 3 times louder with better sound response.
It's like the Bose effect.
Of these. Yeah, I have one of these sitting in my bathroom. So, I stick my phone on there in the morning, and then I can hear it from across the room with the shower running, and even with my blow dryer running too.
And that goes on for at least 20 to 30 minutes, right?
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of time to kill. Want to put on an excellent tech podcast like the CultCast.
I appreciate
so that's something you can do. You can have one of these sitting in your kitchen, play music while you're cooking, stuff like that. There's a lot of ways that you can use an old iPhone as a secondary camera. Going back as far as the iPhone 4S, they've had the ability to record 1080p 30 video. So you can have one of these as a security camera using an app that I recommend. It's free to use. You just, put your phone on a tripod, sit it in front of a window overlooking your driveway. Then you have a home security camera looking out there. You can open it from your iPhone or anywhere else. If you record videos, you can just, set one of these up and have them going. Then you have 2 different camera angles you can cut between. A lot of good stuff right there. There's if you have a newer iPhone that can run continuity camera, if it's supported on iOS 17, or even an older iPhone, if it can install the app called Camo, you can use it as a webcam. That's what I'm doing right now. Like my iPhone is plugged into my computer, and that's how I get this crispy.
It's amazing how lag free it is too.
Oh yeah,
and I mean it works perfectly.
It
doesn't ever skip or have weird artifacts introduced or anything. Like, it's so reliable.
Yeah, and it's what I do to record my videos as well. It would be, Camo is really great because I can combine the video from the iPhone with the audio coming straight out of my microphone, and it records directly to an MP4 file, like on my computer. And the really excellent thing is that it records the video file continuously. So if my computer were to crash or if the power were to go out, it would have the recording up to the very second that it crashed. That's important. Which is nice in case of errors like that. And another great thing is you can install old apps on your iPhone. Like I have an iPhone 4 right here running iOS 7. You can actually, even if an app is no longer publicly available on the App Store, so long as you have the purchase on your Apple ID, you can go to the Updates tab, go to the Purchases tab, and then you can, show all of these old apps that aren't on your phone, and you can just download them again. I downloaded Flappy Bird on my
I was literally going to just
4.
bring that up. People think I've stopped, still flapping. Never stopped.
Oh yeah, there we go. I'm abominable. I'm incredibly terrible at Flappy Bird, but I can play it anytime I want. And I actually tested this too. You can download apps that you don't have purchased as well. If an app stays listed on the App Store, but the developer doesn't update it, Apple for whatever reason doesn't remove it, you can still download new purchases. If you're searching the App Store on an old phone, you'll get results that you don't get on a new phone.
Oh, interesting.
So I found this app called Smash Room 3D Free. It looks like total crap. But the minimum iOS target is iOS 2, iOS 2.1. And this app is still available on the App Store to download. It's crazy.
Oh, because it only shows you apps that are compatible with your OS. So you're saying that apps that haven't been updated, that haven't been removed, will show on old phones, but not on new phones for that reason.
Yeah, and you can download them and purchase them.
It's the dark app store, the dark web on the App Store.
Exactly.
Huh.
Yeah. And another thing, older phones are incredibly easy to jailbreak. I actually just tested this as well. I jailbroke this phone running my, from macOS Sonoma on my Mac Mini. And, you can do some kinds of cool tweaks. This is my favorite one, Cylinder. It gives you different transitions as you're swiping between different pages on the home screen. Yeah, cool stuff. So
Johnny, I would never allow that.
Yeah, you can run Cydia, all that. Cydia is slowly falling apart because all of these repos where you could download these tweaks are being taken off the internet, and they're closing down their store, so you can't buy any previously paid tweaks anymore. Huh. So you got to jailbreak your old phone while you still can.
Jailbreak, man. Now there's a word I haven't heard in a long time. Is it even possible to jailbreak a new iPhone?
No, I think they stopped. It's complicated. Untethered jailbreaks, which is what you really want. They haven't had a successful one since iOS 12. I think iOS 12 or iOS 13 is the last one you can really jailbreak in any capacity. But if you have an older phone, have at it. God, and there are more items. There are more things on my list. Some of them are kind of convoluted, but you gotta have a list with a lot of items on it. So check out the video or the article on Cult of Mac.
Yeah, we'll link in the show notes. Obviously, I remember the one reason that I wanted to jailbreak is because back in the day, if you wanted to use your phone as a mobile hotspot, you had to jailbreak it to do that. And yet, AT&T could tell somehow that you were doing that, and so that feature eventually got disabled. But it was cool when you were able to actually enable features that... See, this is what I mean about the alternate app store. This is why I think an alternate app store would be cool. Think how much stuff we would get that Apple would never allow. But people want to tinker. People like to tinker. I like to install RGB lights in my PC. We just like to play around with stuff and see what we could do. And that was the spirit of Apple getting started. That was why Steve Woz was involved, because he was a tinkerer. He would tinker with stuff, figure out how it worked, build his own versions of it. And that was how Apple got its start. So they've kind of moved away from that spirit where they have everything locked down now. There's nothing wrong with having everything locked down, but you got to give people the option to tinker, right? I'm not going to take apart my lawnmower, but I like to know that I can if I want to. And to be honest, my son might do it eventually. Because every time I come in, he's taking apart something, and usually it's something that I don't want taken apart.
Vision Pro.
Yeah, like my Vision Pro that I'll be spending $4,000 on tomorrow. I do want to try it for sure. And I'm not saying no. I'm probably saying not now. But let's see here. If I got a discount on one, let's just see. Let's just do the math real fast before we wrap up here. $3,500. Apple employees get 25% off. Let's see here. So times
probably not applicable to this device.
I think it will be. I mean, maybe not to start, but you're right. It's going to be so limited that maybe they won't allow it at all. But I mean, it's not like they're going to. But I guess they could. It wouldn't be like Apple to let something sell out and just not replace it and just have it be sold out forever. They're not Nintendo, They're going to make as many as they can sell. But if you get 25% off, it's $26.25 times tax. So you'd be looking at $2,894 for the Vision Pro.
Sounds a lot sweeter with that discount.
That sounds better.
Maybe I should get a job at an Apple store on weekends.
Well, if you do, can you hook me up with a discount? Sometimes I thought, I should just go be a part-time employee at the Apple store. I wonder if they would let me.
I don't think they'd let me in the door.
They'd let you in the door to plunk down $3,500.
I mean, to buy stuff.
Yeah,
but
for Vision Pro.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like I'm in my element when I'm in an Apple store. Surrounded by really helpful people, really
nice people,
pleasant
people who've showered.
Helpful. Hi there.
And be like, hey, we got a job right for you in the back.
Yeah. I'll be the guy rummaging through the Zeiss trying to find the exact right lens insert.
You're the rummager guy.
Put it in a box. Here, take this out there. That's great.
You'll be in the basement. Although I have been in the basement at the Apple store here because they have a bathroom down there. It's a beautiful basement. You'd be very happy down there. I mean, and their bathrooms are impeccable. The nicest. They look like a bathroom on a Star Wars spaceship. Everything's white and beautiful in there. Everything's custom designed. It's unbelievable. All right, well, last bets before we hit the music. How much time after the go live does Vision Pro completely sell out?
Good question.
I'm torn between 5 minutes and forever.
Yeah.
It's so expensive, but
I mean, how will we judge this? Are you saying there will be a sold out button on the store, or that the delivery times will simply slip? Because that's
a
what
good
usually
question.
Apple does.
That's a good question. Yeah. So how long before the delivery
here's a
time
more
starts
accurate
slipping?
question that we can test. By next week, what will the delivery time be?
Okay, I like that. By next week, I think the delivery time will be 2 months out.
I'm going to say 3 months.
Okay. That's far. I think 2 months is pretty far out, but 6 weeks is a given.
I'd go 1 month.
1 month out? Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Okay, so next week we'll go and we'll look to see how far out they are. It's hard to say because it is a new product type, and a lot of people are going to be buying it just to scalp it. So, but we don't know what that audience is going to be like. But next week, let's check in and see. So I'm 2 months. Lewis is
1 month.
1 month. Griffin's
3 months.
Okay. So
How many Apple stores are there in the U.S.? 270 some. So 270. Each one has 4 demo units. 2 to 4 demo units.
I think it will sell out in 30 seconds. Well, if the checkout actually worked, I think you might be right. But it's going to take an hour or longer for people to actually get through the checkout process. They're going to be hammered so hard. Because this thing, it's not just going to be people in the U.S. buying it. It's going to be people doing what Griffin's doing it, buying it to I was going to say sell. I would never accuse you of such a thing. To give it to somebody who's buying it from another country because it's not available in their country, or their country has it at a super duper high price. So this thing is going all over the world.
I don't know how common that use case is, but we'll see.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, remember when the iPhone 6 came out and there were people in line just buying them up to send them back to China? That was a huge problem for iPhone 6. And I think for popular Apple products, there are rich people all over the world. Like if you lived in Luxembourg and you wanted to have one of these for your yachts, you can't get one in Luxembourg, right? You got to wait. So you're going to pay someone to come over here and get it. Your royal butler has to come get it for you. So there's going to be a lot of that kind of thing going on. All right.
Oh, boy. It's going to be interesting.
That much is true. And, this episode is over, but we're going to be on the all-new X, probably talking about all this as it unfolds. Me and Lewis, anyway. I'm at ERFON. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. The Grifter, well, he's online too. Lurking. He's a little harder to find. He's in the shadows and the bushes of the internet. Just in there with his hands, parting the leaves, looking to see what's going on. And you can find him. Just Google D. Griffin Jones. That's also his handle on Mastodon for the 2 or 3 of you that are on Mastodon. We're going to go ahead and wrap up that's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. But the party continues on social media, which I already said. I want to thank everyone for listening and for hanging out live. And we will see you guys. Oh, that's the wrong button. Where's the right button? There it is. We will see you guys. I mean, we've been going for like 2 hours. What do you want me to say? See you guys next time. I just had a thought.
Uh-oh.
Really?
I know, that's surprising.
Terrible.
CultCast, stereo vision, spatial audio, spatial video. That's the new way to broadcast the show. What do you think about that?
Then people will be able to see Griffin's amazing filing system, right?
Yeah. And they'd be able to spin around us in 3D space. They could watch the show from that disheveled bed behind you, Lewis.
So many people want to just see what that's really like.
That's
great
the
place
real
to lie
authentic.
around when you got COVID.
Real authentic experience. All right, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend. I'm hurtling towards the end stream button as we speak.